Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. Today we're talking about the 2-episode premiere of Starfleet Academy. We've been looking forward to this for some time, and I have to say that while I earlier said that I didn't have any idea how it would work, I will adjust that just a little bit. I think I have mixed emotions about this show so far, though. In the first episode, we get a fast introduction to about a dozen new characters and their species. You have to keep all that straight. That doesn't mention, of course, a couple of half-somethings. And we establish our main character. His name is Caleb Meir. We see him as a child, and then again 15 years later as a young adult. We also meet Captain Nala Aki, and we see the ship/school, which is the Athena, which is a rather impressive-looking starship, if you ask me. The nacelle design is different, and this idea of floating components that they've done in the later part of the Discovery series are well in place here. Actually, an attractive ship. I'm not quite sure why it also has to be the school. It couldn't be just a ship that's connected with a school, but we won't argue that detail. First episode starts off pretty much with an action-packed battle. Shows off all the special effects they can do now. And since it's a ship and a school, we see a lot more area than you would your normal starship. Anyway, there is some brilliant scene chewing by our resident villain, Paul Giamatti, who asked to be on the show, and they said, well, what kind of character would you like to play? He said, well, I want to be the bad guy, and he plays a great bad guy as Nus Braka. He calls himself a Klingerite. He's half Klingon and half Tellarite. He reminds me of a little bit more sinister Harry Mudd. Also of merit, the ship's number one and school's cadet master, the Klingon/Jem'Hadar Laura Thuck. She gives it loud and direct to the cadets, and also makes a good first officer. She is somebody you don't want to meet in a dark alley or even a well-lit alley, I think. Also, glad to see the holographic doctor again, having met Robert Picardo at a Comic-Con several years ago. I find that he's a very nice guy, and I'm glad to see him back on screen there, doing his best grumpy doctor that he did in Voyager, of course. Then we have Tig Notaro as Jet Reno, another one of my favorites, but she was only introduced in the second episode and seemed to me kind of underused. I'm hoping that she has more of a part, but that starts the problem with this show. I want to mention also Stephen Colbert is the digital dean of students. I really don't know why he's there. He's the voice of a PA system that talks like a cruise director. Here's what the specials are at the buffet this week. So I'm not sure if they're going to give him more to do or if he's going to be some kind of comic relief. Then you have the students, what this show is all supposed to be about. We have a pacifist Klingon, Jaden Cragg, a Darsha, her name is Genesis Lythe, whose father is a Starfleet admiral and wants to prove herself. We have a Kyoian, Darren Ramey, begins as a smug rich kid, and he does have a heart of gold. He eventually becomes friends with Caleb. And a Casquin, who is, this is part of a holographic race that has, they'd like to be called photonics. Anyway, the character's name is Sam. She's a total innocent. She looks 17, but actually is only a couple of months old. And so she irritates everybody around trying to make Casper-like friends. Anyway, and also she tends to mostly irritate the doctor, who's a hologram himself, but doesn't really want to be reminded of it too much, I guess. Anyway, Admiral Vance is guest star. Good to see him again. And with all of this, you can see what the problem is with the show when you have that many people in the cast, including the bridge crew who are identified, but I can't remember their names. And they got, about 15 seconds of screen time in 2 episodes anyway. I left out the Betazoids. With the daughter that has high metachlorines or something, Terma Sadal, and her brother becomes roommate with Caleb and Darren. So you got all this so far. In a modern streaming program, there are only a few episodes per season that can get you acquainted with all the characters. And consider that most of these shows will have like 7 main characters. Even in the old days, when you had 24 or 26 shows per season, you would have maybe 7 characters to get to know. And we have at least a dozen, probably more. And if you count the guest stars that we're going to remember from other shows, like Admiral Vance, who's a guest star, and Meg and Sylvia Tilly is going to appear in one episode, I think. So it's going to be a lot to be able to get everybody on screen. And that's my problem, first of all, with this, is that you have a number of very good people out there doing these roles, sitting for all the makeup, and they could be kind of lost in all of this. So considering most of the scenes are going to be between Caleb and Aki and maybe a couple of other characters, this could be a problem. Secondly, Caleb seems to be a mashup of Tom Paris, Beckett Mariner, and Wesley Crusher. He solves all the problems, including the ones that he made himself, and the way I see it there, it makes everybody else just kind of wallpaper. Maybe somebody will be able to do something heroic, but he has to be the one that actually gets the bad guy, right? So I really want to like the show. I like all the actors, but I'm concerned that they may be trying too much and trying too hard. There's some good Easter eggs in it. Medical tricorder is repeated from the first episode of Discovery. There's a Kelpian walking down the hall. We see some Orions. We see the black and white people that were in the original series. Orions. One of the characters from Prodigy, I don't think it's the same person, but of that species. And then, of course, we have the distinguished list of captains, which include Hikaru Sulu's daughter, who was introduced in Star Trek in Star Trek Generations. And apparently Ari Kim did get promoted from ensign. So that's what we have to say about this. Let me know what you think in the comments below of what is right and wrong about this show and whether you're enjoying it. And please leave a like if you like what we're doing here. On Thursday, I'll be back with Talking Movies with Professor O. This week we're going to be doing 2001: A Space Odyssey, if my voice holds out. Hope to see you then, and until then, don't go far.